Welcome back to the LEC studio. Origen took us to Game 5 after a massive fight around the Infernal Drake, and I really just want to break down how they were able to set this up and force us into a fifth and final match. What we'll see at the start is OG have a nasty team fight comp. We're talking the Rakan, the Gragas, the Kennen for this insane wombo sort of engage, but the way this play starts off is very bad for OG. Zanzarah gets caught out immediately, and while he is able to escape from this play, he just barely is able to survive, putting Splyce into effectively a 4v5 scenario. Now, at the start of this play, both mid laners are a little bit late to the party, but I do want to keep our eyes on Mithy here, who's setting up this flank for a very long time. Even with the low HP on Zanzarah down at the bottom, OG still want to take this fight because of how far ahead they are in the game. 3k up at this point. So what we see is actually Nukeduck in the corner here trying to threaten moving towards mid lane. Because if he's able to push in that wave, he's going to pull the attention from Splyce away from the Infernal. And what this does is it calls Splyce off of the Drake for a moment. They're caught in transition. They don't know exactly what they want to do in this decision. And while they chest Nukeduck towards that top left corner of your screen, Mithy comes around for this insane flank. Now you notice, you'll notice actually that not everything is going as according to plan, because there is a ward that Mithy is stepping over, but at the end it doesn't actually matter, because right now Splyce are distracted. Either they missed Mithy in the heat of the moment, or they just did not respect the flank potential for this squad, because what ends up happening is this ridiculous engage from OG where Mithy comes around and catches out 3 members of Splyce, and more importantly, they catch out Humanoid. Without Humanoid, there is no fight left, and because of the flank coming in from Nukeduck on the top side, Alphari getting immediately that double kill right off the bat, it means there's no escape for Splyce. Origen leave absolutely no survivors because they keep Splyce baited around this Infernal Drake for so long and are able to find that beautiful engage. And ultimately, that's what brought us to that disgusting end to the game with that massive team fight and forced us into match 5.
I was so happy to see it. The fact that OG not only picked this composition, but then played out these team fights as
Thing
such.
of beauty.
Because if we think about what's at stake here, which is, or if you lose this next game, or for OG this game, you're out of the gauntlet and your season is over, or you push yourself to a 5th game decider. I have to commend kind of the bravado that OG brought into this game for Yamato.
I think I like the fact they took the big risk with leaving Yumi open, picking the Rakan. They shook a lot of things up, and they kind of put the gun to Splyce's head. Are you willing to play these champions? Can you play them well? I think Splyce couldn't execute on the composition, and OG relied on comfort.
And ultimately, it seemed too like Splyce were relying on solely that Corki, which had worked so well for them in previous games. But in those previous games, they had a second AD carry down in the bottom lane. And without that, it means that if Origen find that perfect engage and kill Corki, you've got nothing left.
We did the pick and ban on the desk, and we were actually puzzled because Splyce left the ban open, and then they were able to first pick the Zaya on the side of OG, so they left the Corki open. Is Andre playing some insane 5D chess here, Yamato?
Yeah, he somehow convinced them not to ban a 3rd champion.
Yeah.
Honestly, considering that they had the Rakan and then the second wave bans were completely useless on Splyce's hand, if they thought about Nukeduck's history, all of a sudden you can see that Yasuo coming. I couldn't predict it, so it's fair that it didn't happen, but this is not a draft that you can repeat, because they had the Gragas, Rakan first 3. It's hard to not see a Yasuo ban coming in.
Yeah, it's hard to see what will happen. And with that, I do want to focus in on some individuals. While we take a look at some more of these OG team fights of Game 4, Nukeduck is a guy we talked about so much. And he also has a long and storied history in Europe. But the last time he was at Worlds was almost 6 years ago. So he is definitely a pivotal pawn in this 5th game.
My goodness, this was, you know, I was a substitute for this Lemon Dogs roster. This was some good old days, and it's crazy that he's been around for so long. There's never been a time where people were underrating Nukeduck. There was always this conversation about how good he is in scrims and how good he can be against the best players. I think at the World Championship, this is a player that can do
Do you think he deserves it after this year?
Oh, honestly, if you only said Spring Split, he deserves it, you know, but Summer Split has been very rough, and deserve, you know, you have to win the gauntlet to deserve it.
Exactly, and I think that is what they're trying to do with this game. Another individual I want to talk about, Ender, you highlighted his immaculate flanks, but he's been good all series. It is Mithy, a guy with also such a storied history. Champions here in EU with G2, moved over to TSM, came back to Europe, and now he could push his team forward to the World Championship. championship.
Yeah, and we look at these games. He's been absolutely phenomenal. This is EU Mithy back. No more NA Mithy. This series, it is the EU Mithy. And it's his flanks and his creative use of the All-Star we saw in the previous game, the Rakan in both this game and game one. These engaged supports are his bread and butter. And if he's on it again, OG have a very good shot at making out.
I think Mithy is super hungry to go back to the World Championship because always the story of Mithy's World Championships have been quite disappointing of the standard that we expect from Mithy. So I think he wants to go back there, make an even bigger splash. I think he had a fantastic run with OG back in the day, but when the G2 series, there was this big meme with the G2 vacation.
No vacations this
I think he
time.
wants to go back in there and take another semi-final spot possibly.
And show it. We'll see if that happens, but we got to look at their opponents as well because they're now, you know, on the downturn as in they didn't win that last game and they gave up a match point, but they have another one. And Splyce has been fighting to get back to the world stage since 2016. And if we think of individuals of that lineup, Chachi, one of the most experienced players we have in Europe, has never been to Worlds. This guy is hungry.
Yeah, I believe out of the top 20 most experienced, he's the only one that has not made it. And we've been waiting for so long. And there's always moments of brilliance. We think back to the Poppy games, the Kennen games, all these incredible moments. In this series too, we just saw, you know, fantastic stuff out of him in the previous game. So it must be so good for him in order to, he just feels the hunger, you know? He wants to win today, he wins tomorrow. It's just 2 best of 5s, that's all it takes.
I can't imagine that with all the rookies that come up in Europe every single year. I think the pressure on these bit more old school guys is probably higher and higher every split they play to make it to Worlds, Yamato.
It's hilarious because with, you know, I'm looking at Kobbe. You know, I think his form has just been improving more and more. And I look back at our history of how we qualified to Worlds together. We actually kicked out Vizicsacsi in the gauntlet. It was game 5. It was a very intense series. And it's funny how history kind of collides and it brings into this game 5 that could potentially bring them to Worlds. Because Kobbe's last memory is not getting out of groups and also killing Uzi in a 1v1 matchup or 2v2 matchup with Mickey. And then I think he wants to do more, you know?
The extremes are there for all of the members on both teams. So I want to hear from each of you who's going to take this game 5 and how are they going to do it? Ender?
I think that if Origen can, again, put Mithy on an engaged champion, if they get the Rakan or the All-Star in their hands and just draft a strong team fighting composition, it's what it's been about. They've looked to be able to do it up against Splyce. I think they do have the better tools in their hands.
I have to call it for Origen as well. I think the tricky part will be, though, that if they come into the second phase of the draft, the key picks here were the Kennen and the Yasuo. That's the picks that are not going to go through. So they need to be able to fill those gaps because Splyce second wave bans were not useful at all. If they manage to find picks that can slot into the same kind of composition, same kind of idea and thought process, then I believe OG will take it home based off Mithy's clutch performance today.
There we go. We'll see if it happens. It is do or die for Origen and Splyce as they fight to keep their world's dreams alive. Let's hit the rift.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. As you said, World's dreams on the line, but not only that, it's your 2019. If you lose here, what are you going to do for the next 3 months?
Probably play a lot of World of Warcraft, if we're being honest.
That's true.
Well,
Borderlands came out as well.
yes, it did. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot on the line in this final game. Both these teams have had quite an interesting year. Origen making it to the finals of Spring Split. Splyce finishing 3rd at the end of the regular season with expectations to be one of the top 3 in Athens. And the fact that they both had such disappointing playoff performances, some even not even qualifying, this would be the redeeming feature in terms of their year. This is what it's all culminated in. They want to be the representation going in towards the World Championship. We're jumping into Game 5 draft.
Splyce have chosen the blue side and will remove the Draven straight away, Qiyana ban, Yuumi ban. It seems to be back to the first 3 games we had of this series, Vedius.
So nothing going to be too crazy as of yet. The Akali also going to be coming out from the side of the Origen. Now, what will be the adaptation from Splyce? Will we stay the same or will we see some variation? Because remember, I believe last game, Splyce didn't even ban a 3rd champion. They just left it blank.
It open. Didn't work out too well for them.
So the Gragas will be taken off the board. Does suggest that they have something else in terms of their priority. Yuumi's open. Rakan is open. My apologies, Yuumi's not open. Rakan is open, yep. Xayah is open, Kai'Sa is open. Kai'Sa was what they first picked last time around. Ooh, with the Xayah ban coming out from Origen, heavily suggests that the Kai'Sa will be the priority.
And you are entirely correct there, Vedius. Kai'Sa is locked in, but Origen will know that that was a likelihood.
So we now want to see from Origen the return to the Tristana. It's what they did in game 1. It was very effective in terms of the 2 versus 2 and allowed them to get the kill, and immediately they're going to respond to it. Now, if Origen... Okay, they didn't let me get to say the Sylas, but that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
But they got to lock that
you
one
get
in.
half marks for that
So
one.
now Splyce, they will likely go for the Gangplank and the Nautilus. Very similar to what we saw in their, I think it was game 3 draft. Very heavily on the scaling. Nautilus very strong in terms of the bot lane as well. And I think that it is a very safe top lane champion. And I actually think it would be better for Origen to move... Well, they could just go for the Aatrox pick once again. If they wanted to, it would give you a pretty strong matchup in the top side of the map. But we've seen that it's not been as effective. Oh, they're actually just going to stick to Comfort. Okay.
Yeah. So no Nautilus, it was the Thresh instead from Splyce here. And there's the Kennen locked in once again for Alphari. We'll see if it's AP or AD. Expected to be down that AP route.
Well, you have a little bit more flexibility this time around. I think AD means that you naturally outscale Gangplank in terms of the 1v1, but the AP means that you have a lot more team fight value.
Yeah.
And I feel like that these games are always coming down to team fights, which naturally lends me towards going for the AP Cannon as being the better option.
Very much agree with you there, Vedius. Something that is still on the cards for Origen is that Rakan. With the Alistair being banned away here, maybe we'll see Splyce ban out the Rakan. They could remove the Nautilus, though, because they want to get a little bit of an easier lane for the Kai'Sa.
Morgana is another one they could consider banning. I think Morg is a great pick into Thresh. And I think that it also is a pretty powerful lane with the Tristana. It gives you a lot of wave clear. And the Black Shield should be pretty effective as well. I guess the only problem is, because we've often seen AP Kai'Sa, the Black Shield can get very quickly killed by the likes of a Kai'Sa, so that might dissuade them from wanting to ban or pick the Morgana, instead just leave it up.
We'll see where they do go. Origen have taken away the LeBlanc as their final ban here. We've seen that banned a lot. There's the Nautilus.
Yeah.
So Morgana or Rakan is the question.
Yes. I think Rakan gives you more easy engage, and you have Kennen as follow-up, but Morgana gives you stronger laning and mitigates some of the pick potential. So I think both work. I just think they provide different roles.
I totally agree with you there, Vedius. I think Mithy's had a very good performance on flanking support so far this series, so putting him on something where he can either be an engage or a follow-up engage from Alphari slicing Maelstrom will work out well for Origen. Splyce here have their mid laner and their jungler left to pick.
You would imagine Corki is what gets locked in for Splyce. They're fine playing the Corki into Sylas matchup. It scales well. It's been something that works for Humanoid pretty consistently, and given that it's not been banned away from the side of Origen, I think that it would be the easiest and safest pick.
There we go. Benny, you've been predicting most
yeah,
of
but
this
that one was pretty easy.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Give yourself credit, mate.
So jungle is the last one, and the only thing that Splyce is missing right now is engage. So Sejuani would be my preferred choice for Splyce's comp. They could also go for a Skana. I think I quite like Skana against the likes of a Rakan and a Kennen.
You know what else gives you engage?
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I thought it was going to be the Ornn, and then they switched to the Elise.
However, speaking of Ornn, I actually think Ornn would be great for Origen right now. I wonder if they're trying to bait that out from the side of Splyce.
It's possible.
Let's see.
Oh, it's Sylas jungle.
It's Sylas jungle.
It's jungle.
Zed
Nukeduck on
mid-lane.
Zed.
Wow.
Oh, baby.
Okay, now props to Gilius. He thought that the Zed was going to be coming out last game, but now that they have the counter pick and they can guarantee it, they're going for this game. Now, the reason why Zed is so good here is you look at that comp from Splyce, there's not a lot of tanks, there's not a lot of crowd control. He can kill every single one of these champions very easily in the 1v1. He's going to scale much better against this kind of a draft. Now, admittedly, it might be hard to kill the Kai'Sa, but against the Corki and the Gangplank, he's going to be very strong. But we got to focus back in on this Elise pick. Like, the Elise just... It doesn't make sense to me. Their comp is so good at scaling. They just needed a front line and an engage, and like they hovered the Ornn, they could have gone Sejuani. There were so many options that I think would have just made much more sense for their comp, and now they're being tunneled into trying to find an early game lead with this Elise. And I mean, the only lane they can really look for it is in the bot side of the map, and I think it's going to be challenging for Splyce. I think it's going to be really tough. And again, if they are able to get through an early laning phase, they're going to have to rely on objectives to force fights because they don't have any hard crowd control to kick things off. So I feel like this Elise pick has made things very difficult for Splyce. We'll just have to see. Like, they've clearly picked it for a reason. They're confident in the pick. They're putting faith in Xerxe. So the weight now falls on his shoulders to see whether or not Splyce can still make that run to Worlds.
One game to define a year's worth of League of Legends. Splyce and Origen will see who gets that spot against Sjokz tomorrow. The draft reminds me a lot of Game 1. It feels like Origen once again pulled the bait and switch. Similar to the Nautilus in Game 1. Here it was like, oh, Sylas is mid, Sylas is mid. No, he's not. We'll put Nukeduck back on his Z. The last time he played it was in the spring playoffs versus Fnatic, where they got the victory and went on to play against G2 in the finals. We'll see if he's as successful in this game as he was back then.
Okay, so let's start off by talking about the junglers. The main reason why I want to start with that is because for Zanzarah on the Sylas, you would expect him to take more of a safe early jungle pathing. Sylas as a champion doesn't really offer a lot in terms of early game. He can look for early ganks, but I don't think he really needs to. His priority is getting to 6, farming up, completing his first jungle item, etc., etc. Whereas Xerxe is going to be looking for those early ganks. And the fact that he's starting on the top side suggests that he could be looking for a potential bot gank, or he's looking for an invade. I think it's always difficult to invade on, on an Elise. So to me, it suggests much more, that especially given that the duo is already able to get to the lane first, it means they'll get an early level 2. So they set up the wave, so it's actually slow pushing towards them, which means that the wave is going to be in a position where Xerxe can set up a gank. And remember that Tristana naturally kind of pushes the wave as well, and then Kobbe just clears out the wave. So
that slow push.
So everything I just said,
great.
Redundant.
Until he used the Acathian Rain and then cleared out that entire frontsider. Zanzarah is going to go blue into Gromp. Xerxe looks to be going for a full topside clear before he comes down towards the bottom side of the map. And as we wait to see if Norskeren and Kobbe do anything at level 2, I just want to remind everyone of the importance of this game for these two teams. When you look back at the record of these players trying to get into the World Championships, it's been a long time since any of them have really got there. For Alphari and Mithy, it was back in 2017. Nukeduck all the way back in 2013. 6 years since he has been on the world stage. And of course, Zanzarah hasn't made it before. Patrik hasn't made it before. And then you look at the side of Splyce, and only Kobbe has ever gone to Worlds on this team, and that was in his rookie year.
And Ender was talking about it on the Analyst desk, and to many European fans, they'd be very surprised to see that Vizicsacsi is yet to make a World Championship, considering how long he has been a part of the LEC, how long pro players have respected him for his talent and prowess at the highest end of competition. And he's been in many gauntlets before.
Yeah, 4 of them.
4 of them.
3 second places, 1 third place. Mithy ignited in the bottom lane. Norskeren looking for the hook, but the minion gets in the way.
Yeah, he has longed for an opportunity to prove himself on the international stage, and right now 1 game separates him from another best of 5, and that's why this game is so important. Now we see Xerxe is hanging around the bot side of the map. The wave is pushed up. I don't think he's going to look for a dive, but the ward is there from Origen just in case. He may be looking to go on the next wave, clear that one out, as we see the Sylas up on the top side. I'm not quite sure if he was spotted out on that ward or not. If we can quickly toggle the vision, because I know that he was hugging the wall. He probably was able to dodge out from that, because I know of how close he was to the wall there. So, but he should probably be spotted on this one.
Definitely going to be spotted on this one. We'll see if the pings come down. Maybe they already knew where he was. And actually, pings coming on Xerxe as he goes back towards his Razor Beaks.
So, right now, we can see that a reset coming in from the bot side of Origen. They're actually been put in a bit of a deficit, and that's largely because of how often they've been shoved underneath their tower. Not a huge amount that the Rakan and Tristana can do. Oh, thank you, observers. So yeah, as we suspected, not going to get spotted out by that ward. And then the information to see whether or not he's on the Raptors. But that ward will definitely spot out the Elise. The pings come down. Alphari immediately going to disengage. Oh, interesting that he's actually decided to go for the Doran Shield this time around, mitigate some of the harassment that can come out from a Gangplank. So we see Sylas hovering around the mid lane as well. And impressive to see Nukeduck actually sitting with a CS advantage in this mid lane matchup. Goes to show his experience on the champ.
I still remember watching him playing to Camps's Cassiopeia. I believe it was in spring, where he just totally 1v1'd him at level 6, destroyed him. Nukeduck very experienced on the Zed. Mithy, I believe, has snuck all the way around here without being spotted, or just land a Gleaming Quill onto Norskeren. Nukeduck goes in, the Ignite is ticking! And just as we praise him, Vedius, he once again shows us why he is commonly seen as one of the best mid laners in Europe.
Wow, Nukeduck finds first blood, and I was thinking to myself, okay, keep track of when he hits level 6, because I'm looking at that Corki health, and I reckon he can go for a kill. Gets it before he hits the level spike. Now we see trading in bot lane.
You can see the jump in here, Norskeren ticking away with the Ignite. Of course, no heal on Kobbe or Norskeren. Kobbe's going to get some damage back. The Humanoid teleported into mid lane. Wasn't able to get there in time. Bot lane, not mid lane. Yeah,
no worries, no worries. But yeah, we're likely going to get a replay of that 1 versus 1 in just a second. Of course, Nukeduck did lose his flash, but Origen drawing first blood. Very important for the Zed. If he gets ahead in this early game, it just means he's going to be even more threatening. But now here comes Xerxe. Is he going to find his first gank of the game? We'll be walking into darkness.
So both Mithy and Patrik do have their flashes. You can see how safely they're playing. I believe he wasn't spotted, but the control ward comes down, and now they know the Spider was waiting just around the corner. Zanzarah's actually going to sneak in towards this bush. Puts the control ward down. Xerxe spotted it going in. Humanoid has the push in mid, so he'll be able to react just a little bit quicker, and Zanzarah won't be able to defend his control ward for long.
Drake is available. Vizicsacsi just going to use the ulti. Oh, here we go. We're going to get the replay now. So, Humanoid is on about 50% of his HP. If Nukeduck lands the Q... okay, yeah, there it is. So, I was thinking if he's able to land a Q, then that should do enough damage with a rank 3 Shuriken to be able to get the burst. But more than that, he lands both Shurikens. He then lands the E. That procs the electrocute, and then it's flash auto, and the auto does bonus damage the less health you have. So then with that and the ignite, he's able to find the kill. Very well played there by Nukeduck. And he's able to find first blood. Now we can see a big CS discrepancy developing between the two bot laners. Xerxe is using that as an opportunity to start the Drake. Zanzarah is in the top side of the map, so he's not going to be able to contest. And I think this is smart from Origen. Remember that when you're running this Elise, it's important that you try and get these early game leads for the champion to be stronger coming into the mid game. So I think it's better for Origen, given they know their relative strength right now. Don't force it. There's no need to. Don't take the gamble. Okay, you lose a Mountain Drake, but it's not the end of the world.
Might lose a life in the bottom lane. Norskeren looking for the hook. Mithy dodges away. There's a slight sizable CS lead here for Kobbe down towards that bottom lane. About 9 to 10, depending on where the wave is. Elise is about 400 gold ahead, I believe, from his lane opponent. Meanwhile, 200. That's close to 400, right? Close enough.
But the game's still very even for the time being. I'm looking to see when Nukeduck starts to roam, if he even will roam. Maybe he just stays in the 1 versus 1 for now. That Corki, we need to get some armor now. Because now that Nukeduck is level 6, man, Fed Zeds are terrifying.
Ignite going down onto Norskeren. Patrik lands the Buster. It's enough! That was a lot more damage than perhaps Norskeren was expecting. Kobbe still has the flash here, but Mithy and Patrik are pushing them back. That mitigates a lot of that CS lead that Kobbe and Norskeren had been building up.
That's a lot more than I was expecting, Medic, because I saw that health bar and I was thinking, no way does that ulti one-shot him there, but he finds the execute, and now Origen's bot lane is back in the game, and now we see Xerxe arriving. It's unlikely that he's going to be able to convert this into anything, and we're not seeing much early game impact come off the back of this Elise. Does it mean that the game is over for Splyce? No, of course it doesn't. They still have excellent scaling options. The Kai'Sa, the Corki, the Gangplank, all very strong, especially once they hit those Trinity 4 spikes. But right now, this early game is just going in favor of Origen. And the press the attack, bonus damage, along with the ultimate there, is able to find the kill, and they get the flash out from Norskeren as well. So now I wonder if we'll see a roam from Nukeduck from mid into bot. He's got the Youmuu's Ghost Blade completed. Very strong Zed.
And I think early on here, it hasn't been Origen playing the map better than Splyce. It hasn't been them pulling around the map. It's just been pure 2v2, 1v1 lane skills here from Origen.
Yep. Showing
just how strong they can be in those individual skill matchups. Patrik and Mithy coming up towards the top side as the Dragon have already gone across towards Splyce. The Rift Herald is spawning in about 20 seconds. Package actually used by Humanoid, so maybe Origen will look for a fight up towards top. Control ward is down. They walk across this next ward with that Oracle's Alteration. They'll clear it out. Patrik's now going to join up with Alphari. And Zanzarah and Mithy together, both level 6, will get as much control over this river as they can. Now, Is Kobbe careful enough? Because Nukeduck is on the prowl, he's on the chase. He's already got his Yumus.
I don't think he's been spotted yet.
He hasn't. Is he going to go for this?
No.
Last go?
I think it's smart, because he has no control of the bot side of the map.
All in!
No, I don't think he can win. Especially seeing as he has no vision.
I think he can definitely kill Kobbe.
No, he can't, because Norskeren and Xerxe are there. He can outplay this dive, though. The problem is that W's on a massive cooldown.
Yeah, flashes.
Yep.
Smart flash. This is good from Origen, though. Like, Nukeduck playing very defensively in the bottom side. They're doing something on the top side of the map.
I mean, I like the response from Splyce. You know, the fact that they make this cross-map play. They don't try and bring Kobbe to challenge Origen. They recognize that maybe they're not strong enough to go for this fight. Alphari with the completed proto belt and the ultimate available means that in that kind of situation, it could go disastrous. So they're just going to keep funneling gold onto Kobbe. He's already got a 20 CS advantage. They know that their way they win this game is through the late game.
Yeah.
And even though they have the Elise pick, they can utilize objectives to force this. And again, the Rift Tower is coming out to make this cross-map play, but it looks like Splyce are much faster, and they should be able to secure the first tower.
So Splyce will get the first tower, as you say, well played around the map by them. I do want to just point out the fact that Origen left Patrik in the top lane by himself, while Mithy and Zanzarah did the Rift Herald, and then they gave all of the plates over to Patrik.
Yeah,
so
now
that
he has a gold lead.
He actually has a big Tristana.
He actually has a 400 to 500 gold lead right now sitting in his back pocket, so just slight variation in terms of resource allocation. Meanwhile, you can see Humanoid actually reclaims, because of the Kleptomancy coming in as well, and he has built up a bit of a CS lead for himself by being left alone 1v1 against Alphari. So gold still very close between these two teams, still can go either way. I'm just concerned about Splyce's ability to be able to force fights once they actually have those spikes. Because I'm also looking at Origen and I feel like on their first items, they're also quite strong, mainly the Zed and the Kennen. If you find yourself in a 5v5 right now, things could go horribly wrong for Splyce.
I'm just trying to take the 1v1. He wins this. Vizicsacsi lands the bow. Patrik flashes forward. I think the Tristana you could put as one of those good champions of one items as well.
He also found Gangplank before he hit the Trinity Force. And remember that solo lane Tristana was a thing, largely because of your kill pressure. He gets the reset by proccing the bomb on his W, allowing him to make the double jump. And of course, it did cost him his flash, but he finds another kill. He gets more gold in his back pocket, and now he's got the Berserker's Grease finish as well. Origen, even though they do not have a huge gold lead, the position that they find themselves in right now, I think is a very good one.
And when you consider this team only won 2 games of the last 10 in the LEC, didn't make playoffs, didn't even come 7th, they came 8th. Usually they'd be in relegations if we still had them. They're playing a lot better than they were at that time. They've had that time to practice. And this is a much stronger performance from them. Norskeren, yeah, he's going to die to that Ignite. It goes across to Nukeduck, second kill of the game for him, and Origen are very much in control here. Only 800 gold ahead, but you're starting to see how they're going to split the map, how they're going to pull Splyce apart and find some of these picks.
I just feel that Origen, their ability to, you know, as you rightly said, split the map apart is very strong and very easy, especially when he's almost completed his Dustblade.
Yep.
When that is done on the Zed, he can kill anyone that he wants whenever he wants. Maybe not the Elise because she has a repel, but that would likely only delay the inevitable. You can see him in a 1v3 now. He can't do much, but Origen are trading it in the mid lane. And again, I need to keep reinforcing. Splyce still have a great scaling comp. They still have late game insurance. They will have to rely on objectives to be able to force fights, very similar to what we saw in game 3. But they still have a way back into the game. And again, like we keep talking about the gold gap, it's not that big. It's just that right now, the relative strength of Origen's comp just feels a lot stronger to me. And if I was in this game, I would be hesitant to try and fight Origen right now. Also notice that Splyce don't actually have an exhaust. One of the best things for dealing with Jam is like a Zed.
And they don't really have someone who builds something, you know, like Randuin's Omen.
No, they have no frontline either.
They don't really have that.
It's a very squishy comp.
No Ninja Tabis yet across them either. Moby Boots, Xerxe, Mercury.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, the Mercs make sense when you're going up against,
Sylas,
there's a lot of crowd control on the side of Origen, right?
It just means that, well, where'd you get your armor from?
Yeah.
You're playing into lethality as well, where having some armor is a lot more helpful. Don't really, where are you finding it? That's the big question to me.
GA.
I mean, sure, does give you some armor. Get the stopwatch as part of it. You have got a couple of stopwatches which will delay your demise against that death mark. Have to be timed properly, of course. but the control of the river is very much in favor of Origen now. You can see these wards scattered across a few, starting to make forays into the Splyce jungle, and Splyce will try and get rid of those if they can, but they haven't found them. And meanwhile, on the top side, Humanoid is pushing in just ever so slightly, but Patrik will happily accept the waves as they crash towards that tower, and he's already on his way towards that second item. Rapid fire cannon is the expectation. Kobbe going towards Ginsu's, as you would expect to see.
Oh, is he not going to kill him?
Doesn't seem like it.
I would just W'd over the wall and all hit him.
I think he placed this ward, saw it was on a control ward, and was like, okay, I don't want to take that risk.
I mean, I could see 4 people mid lane, so I'm surprised he didn't want to take the risk.
That's true.
There we are. They're going to lose a tower mid. Tristana's top lane. Of course, they're funneling more resources into Patrik, which is fine, but it will cost you some objectives, which means that this will give priority for Splyce to access the river first. Gangplank is still in the bot lane, has ulti, has TP, or his ulti is just about to come up, I think. Yeah. And the TP is up as well, so game's still quite tense. Hook lands.
Yeah, straight on to Mithy. He knew that was happening, and the Ignite is going to tick him away. Kobbe jumped in. He didn't need to do that, but he manages to get away with the Buster shot, knocking... Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. How did... Oh, Lantern.
Yeah, the Lantern.
I didn't see the Lantern.
So good coordination there from Norskeren and Kobbe as they walk away with their first kill of the game for Splyce.
Yeah.
They now have a 1k gold lead all of a sudden.
So I'm going to give credit to Splyce here because it is a good catch.
I mean, it was a good pick.
But Mithy knows they're around here.
I mean, sure. I mean, I just don't think he's expecting 2 people to be sitting in that brush for any particular reason. And then, yeah, there's the Lantern. Quick stuff there from Splyce.
I definitely think that Mithy dies to that anyway, but you take it, you have to make sure you secure the kill.
I think it's worth it, especially given how safe it was. You saw Splyce in that situation. I like also that Xerxe and Norskeren. I think this is what Nukeduck could have been afraid of, but he did earlier on why he didn't choose to go for that play. Zanzarah needs to be careful himself now.
Gets into the bush. Zanzarah steals away the ultimate. Nukeduck has already backed. But nothing will come of it. And as you say, Splyce 17 minutes in, a Mountain Drake in their pocket, 1,000 gold their lead, 2 items on their Kai'Sa, building up towards 2 on Humanoid. They are fighting back after what seemed like a game in Origen's control, although not won for them yet. They were in the driver's seat. And now Splyce have said, okay, move out of the way, please. I would like to control this vehicle for the next few minutes.
And you can imagine that this game feels quite stressful for both these teams. One game determines whether or not you make it to Worlds or have a chance.
Yeah, have a chance
you
to make
still
it
have to go through Schalke, right? And
one game determines whether you get to play League for the next 3 months.
Yeah. And so you can see why it still feels like quite a slow game.
Yeah.
While I do feel there have been opportunities for Origen to force a couple more plays, especially considering how strong I feel this Zed is right now, they've decided not to go for it. They're not gambling. They're not taking risks. And you understand it. But it's always that weird line, you know? At what point are you being too hesitant versus what point are you, like, being cautious enough?
I mean, when your best 2 teams in the league are teams that have shown you that consistently you can take risks, especially G2. Like, the amount of times they go for a play that you say, well, that was probably a little bit too greedy, too aggressive.
I mean, yes, but if we look just at the finals, how many plays did they also take way too many risks?
That's what I'm saying, yes. You see the mistakes, you see the good things, and the question is, when you toss the coin into the air, what side is it going to land on?
Yeah, and the main point is that the pressure is clearly felt, so both teams will naturally Peter towards, I think I can't
towards?
Steer towards.
Yeah, we'll say steer.
The safer option. And like, I get it. The only thing I'm concerned of for Origen is, like, we talk so much about, like, scaling. Like, how many of these games have come down to late game team fights, right?
It's true.
And it's all well and good me saying, okay, I don't like the Elise pick because I think there were better junglers given, like, let's be honest, Elise has done nothing in this early game.
Yep.
Maybe a Sejuani would have offered more value,
exactly.
Right? But besides the point, Splyce do still have a strong scaling comp, and it's not like the game is over once you hit 30 minutes.
Yep.
That Corki, that Gangplank and that Kai'Sa are all going to be very valuable assets. But in the same vein, if a good Kennen ultimate lands, that's it, you all die. If Zed finds a kill onto the Kai'Sa in a team fight, you all die. And so it's really tough to tell which way this game is going to go right now. It still feels very even. Generally around this point in the game, you have a rough idea of who's in control and where the responsibility falls, but there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of farm going either way. There's a lot of both teams just waiting for certain items to be completed.
Here's the good thing, Vedius.
Yeah.
I bet you in about 10 minutes or so we'll have much clearer idea if we're going to win this game.
I hope so. I mean, I'll be honest, I also just want to see Zed kill things.
That is, honestly, as a hype caster, as a play-by-play caster, it's the best part of my job. The look at the moves, look at the plays from Doa and Monty is emblazoned in my memory and in the memory of a lot of League of Legends fans.
Good word, good word. Just as a note, if we flip over to the gold very quickly, you will notice that the mid gap is starting to build up. 800 is the difference, which is kind of why I talk a lot about how I think Nukeduck should be trying to look for plays, look for kills. Assassins do get harder to play the later the game goes on because people start to itemize differently, more effectively. Like you can already see 2 stopwatches in the inventory of Splyce. That's naturally going to make the execution ability of the Zed even harder to pull off. And so yeah, like it will be harder for Nukeduck to play this game the longer it goes on.
Very much agree with you there, and Splyce now setting up vision around the Baron, keeping Humanoid safe on his side lane. For the last while, we haven't really seen Origen make any of these plays. Patrick's going to be able to open up this mid tower. That does allow them the ability to step a little bit further into Splyce's territory. Get behind that line of scrimmage and try and get some vision down, but once again, Nukeduck's just sent up to the top lane, says, okay, there's a wave there, you catch it. And he pushed it up towards us. It does feel there have been enough moments in this series where a team has tried to be proactive, made a play, and it's caused them to make an unforced error. That I think, as you say, both these teams are very apprehensive about being the team to make the play.
It's literally like, do you know...
Can you remember game 2 where we drew? Yeah, let's not do that again.
It's like a Mexican standoff, right? Where the 2 gunslingers look at each other.
So a Mexican standoff is 3 gunslingers.
Okay.
In a triangle.
I'm thinking, okay.
Like this.
I've confused my gunslinging activities.
That's okay.
What I mean is, it's like a duel, sure,
okay,
a duel. 2 gunslingers eyeing each other, hold hands on pistols, and they're just pacing around each other. Okay. And they're just like, are you gonna make the first move, or are you gonna shoot? Are you gonna shoot? Are you gonna shoot?
So,
are you gonna shoot?
In that scenario, being the one to pull your gun first is always best.
I agree.
The reaction speed is too slow.
Yeah, I agree.
So always go for it if you're in a duel like that.
A veteran of duel. No. in your vast many years.
I'm not. Okay, I'm sorry. I've never had pneumonia. I still know about it.
It's just the way you. It's just like, just for the record, if you're ever in a duel, it's always better to just pull the gun out first, because the enemy just won't be able to react fast enough. It's really common sense. And it's I, a veteran duelist.
I didn't call myself a veteran duelist.
Mr. Chamberlain.
Dr. Chamberlain to you. Thank you very much. Okay, League of Legends. Humanoid pushing out the top lane.
Oh, here we go.
Mithy, oh, no, we don't.
Oh. Right, back to the farmer. Carry on.
Okay, so there's 1,000 gold between the 2 teams. Splyce, though, are looking for a play.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
As you say, Nukeduck's going with the death mob, but Humanoid pops the stopwatch. That's a little bit too early. He'll still take the damage from the death mob, but as you can see, it's not too much. The rest of Splyce on their way. Nukeduck dodges back. He dodges around them all. Nukeduck's managed to escape for the moment as the cannon barrage comes out. Humanoid still on the chase, and Nukeduck is ticking away. One more missile will be enough, and that's the kill going over to Splyce.
So Splyce finally find a pick. They get the flash out from Nukeduck as well. Could this be the go signal for Splyce to force the ban? It's a 5 versus 4 right now. Humanoid is pushing in the top side. Alphari is going to go back to base to catch it. They're just going to focus on getting vision for now.
They're not going to force the Baron. They made their proactive decision for the last 10 minutes. Now we'll see as the game slows down once again, Vedius, what that means. Nukeduck burnt Flash, Humanoid burnt Flash, but so did Kobbe. Xerxe burnt his teleport.
Yeah, Patrik also burnt his Flash as well. I missed that in the last replay. Not sure quite when he used that one, so I'm going to have a very quick look back at when he did that as Splyce start off the Drake.
Yeah, that will be their second mountain of the game, which does mean, of course, taking that Baron later on will be a lot easier. But Origen now going to get their vision control over the Nasha pit. And now it's Alphari in the top lane who's pushing it out. We'll see exactly how Splyce react to this.
Oh, okay, so there was a bit of a skirmish between Patrik and Kobbe in the mid lane.
That makes sense.
And then Patrik all-ins, Kobbe flashed, Patrik flashed after him, and that's why both AD carries ended up using their flashes.
And Patrik didn't quite get the kill.
Yeah. So, just
cool
context on
Thank
that.
you for the context.
So, OG have now pushed in mid. They're going to use this as an opportunity to gain some control of the topside river. TP is available on Humanoid. I'm not sure if the package is available right now.
There's no vision here for Splyce.
Package is up, so he's probably going to go grab that one. Pings are coming down.
Alphari's looking for a flank.
Not going to go for it.
There's literally no vision in the pit. Splyce
yeah, but like the problem is OG don't have a front line to tank the Baron, so they can't just start it, right?
Well, they could.
There's a ward in the top lane that could be used as a flank ward for perhaps Humanoid. Pings are rapidly coming down, but they have no idea.
Yeah, the wave is too far pushed up in bot now. Humanoid's been able to get that one forward, so we're going to see again that play.
So a very early stopwatch used from Humanoid actually allows him to dodge out from the death mark entirely. Then Nukeduck jumps back to the shadow, uses the first shadow to create a gap, and then flashes. The Gangplank ultimate slows him down enough that allows Humanoid to be able to get this kill. And even though when you land the E, it does reduce the cooldown of the W, unfortunately it wasn't reduced enough.
It's still a super long cooldown.
Yeah,
is that trade in mid lane you were talking about?
Oh yeah, so we get to see it. So there you go. The flash comes in for Patrik. Immediate flash from Kobbe. And that being sense. A trade of flashes. Of course, on Zed, you don't start putting points in your W until you start hitting level 14, and it's the final skill that you max. So the low cooldown of the W doesn't come through until way later into the game.
I mean, currently, it's level 2, 14 seconds. So super long.
Yeah, and that's with all of his cooldown as well.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful with how you use that shadow.
Splyce have been able to extend that gold lead that was 1,000 about 4 minutes ago to just ticking over 2.5k or thereabouts. Zanzarah trying to do what he can on this Sylas up towards the top lane. Has had a very good series. He's here with Alphari. Considering it's his first ever series on the LEC stage, I think we have to give him quite a lot of credit. And here we go. The bush has been baited. The trap has been set. Baron being started. As you say, it may just be vision that was being cleared out. Now Mithy's trying to look for that flank. He's had a few good ones this series, but I don't know if they actually started the Baron. I think they were just getting control over the vision.
Okay, fair enough.
It was hard to see. I agree on the minimap. It looked like they were doing.
They were in the pit, creating more tension. So, Splyce's comp, online.
Yes.
I think we can
3 items on your Kai'Sa with a Zhonya's as well.
Yes. So this Zed, I feel like that there was a big window where he was much stronger.
This is so smart from Chachi.
Good old
Giving Nukeduck away.
barrels.
Zanzarah, can you do it? Can you do it through Origen?
No, it's gone.
Can't get in the pit. He flashes late, and then he dodges out. And it's gone.
I mean, we just said Splyce's comp is online. And it was just a matter of who took Baron faster. And of course, Splyce did. I mean, I wish there was more to say. But neither team has done anything, Medic. They have just watched. Splyce was the first to draw, though, in the duel.
Yes.
And they shot well.
The reaction time.
Yeah.
You can't react quickly enough.
It's true.
With double mountains, with a Kai'Sa, Corki, Gangplank, you're shredding through that Baron.
Yeah. High accuracy coming out from the Splyce squad. Now, with Baron in the back pockets, Humanoid now level 17. The Zed looked cool at the beginning, but honestly, it really hasn't done that much outside of laning phase. Remember, once again, Worlds shot on the line. Final game between these two teams.
It's been 6 years since Nukeduck was at Worlds. Consistently seen as like a top 3 mid in the region. Yeah. For him not to be able to go there and again.
I mean, when he locked in the Zed, a lot of responsibility fell on him. Yep. You know, when you're picking this champion, something that you say, I'm so confident on this, give it to me.
Oh, Mithy. Look, comes out, Norskeren looking for the play as well. Mithy goes golden, can dodge out, flashes, charms, gets away, but now the cannon barrage comes down and Splyce are making the play. Alphari's still in the mid lane. He's not even teleporting in here. Splyce looking for the chase underneath the tower. Nukeduck gets caught with the Void Seeker, but Splyce are happy just to take the tower. They're the ones to be making the plays. And Origen can only sit and watch a split that went disastrously for them. May have culminated in the biggest loss of them all. Alphari goes down, and Splyce are knocking on the door. They're knocking on the inhibitor towers, and they are knocking on another series, another chance for Worlds. Norskeren flash misses the hook. It's all on you, Nukeduck. It's all on you, Patrik. You've got to do something now, because Splyce will not relent with this pressure.
But they can't do anything because one of their big engage tools in Alphari is gone. Mithy had to use his flash and ultimate earlier to avoid getting killed. Origen just get forced back into their base. The gold continues to mount in Splyce's favor. And Splyce will now secure themselves the Infernal Drake as well. ballooning their already extremely strong gold lead.
And you have to give credit to Splyce. As much as we say Origen were inactive, they were lethargic, they didn't make the plays, Splyce were happy to scale up. We did not see the same errors in Game 4 as in Game 5 as we did in Game 4. They weren't forcing fights, they weren't going for these aggressive plays, and it must have been very tempting when you've got something like an Elise where you want to be playing through the early game.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like they could have looked to play through the early game, but they often struggled, and like at this point, they've just successfully been finding picks. You know, they found that pick onto Mithy, they found that pick onto Alphari, and that's all your comp really needs in order to generate pressure. The moment you have a numbers advantage, it becomes very difficult for Origen to really do anything. And we haven't seen any flanks come out from Nukeduck, we haven't seen any flank engages come out from Alphari, and while the Baron buff is going to be wearing off soon, Splyce still maintain full control over the enemy jungle and are continuing to pressure Origen's base.
You've got pretty much fully, I say fully built, 4 items on Kobbe on this Kai'Sa, 3.5 on Humanoid. He's got himself a Phantom Dancer there as well to try and mitigate any possible burst from Nukeduck. Sjokz well and truly online with the Essence Reaver, Trinity Force, and the Xerxe, and as much as the Baron does just wear off, you can see how easy it is for Splyce just to continue to pressure Origen. They may just reset. There's an Ocean Dragon in 3 minutes or so if they want it. There'll be a Baron in 2, and maybe Splyce are going to do this one by the numbers. Wait for that next Baron, try and pull Origen into a bad fight. And Origen do still have team fighting tools. You still have a Kennen, you still have a Tristana. If you can find a perfect engage from Mithy, you can do something, but it's going to be very, very hard work.
The thing is, they've had those tools literally all game, and they kind of haven't used them. So I don't know why that would suddenly change.
It's true.
They're honestly just watching the game disappear in front of them, and I understand. Like, it comes back to our conversation earlier, which is that at what point are you playing 2 defensively?
Yeah.
And like, this is it. You're playing 2 defensively. Are you really going to have your last game be one where you do nothing?
I mean, we heard Xerxe talk about it in the middle of the split. He said, yes, I'm going like 0-6-0, but would you prefer I went 0-0-0 and the Nexus blew up? Like, sometimes you have to be the one to say, okay, maybe we'll fail, but let's fail together. Let's actually go for some of these fights.
And at this point, it just feels like Origen is waiting for the right opportunity, and unless they force one, an opportunity may not come to them, because look, Splyce now gaining full control over the top side of the jungle. This is going to make taking the Baron extremely easy. They're going to be completely uncontested. Origen, the only deep ward they have is this one just by the river. You can see it's just sitting here. And that's not even a ward that they can TP to, so there's no way in which they can get behind. Nukeduck is going to lose some of his health because he gets hit by another W from Kobbe. I mean, Splyce are in full control.
Super minions pushing in the bottom wave. Alphari has to answer, has the TP, has level 16, but it's looking bleak for Origen and very promising for Splyce. They'll be looking for that best of 5 versus Sjokz tomorrow. The winner of that makes it to Worlds and then fights Fnatic for seeding on our final day of play on Sunday. Sjokz puts a pink ward in the pit, and 33 minutes in. Splyce, the late game has been their friend throughout the entire split. Look at how many wards they have in this topside jungle. If we can just have a master zoom on that. It's littered, to say the least. It looks like a shotgun has just fired wards at the jungle, and they've landed where they may.
So,
Zanzarah and Patrik going to try and clear out whatever they can.
GA completed for Humanoid, stopwatch completed for Kobbe, Vizicsacsi has Xerxe, and there's a stopwatch completed for Xerxe. How does Zed kill anyone at this point?
Hook doesn't land. Cannon Barrage used. That was Zanzarah's stolen one. Nukeduck has the flank, but Splyce will just check straight into him. Origen on the top side, Mithy. You got to do something. You got to pull something out of the bag here. You got to put a rabbit out of the hat.
Waves are building on the top side as well. Kobbe goes in.
Kobbe jumps in straight onto Nukeduck. Nukeduck trying to win the trade, but Kobbe flashes away. And Kobbe is the one to do it. Nukeduck falls. Kobbe is not letting Splyce fall out of World's contention. Nukeduck's dead in a 4v5 now. Splyce can look for the Baron. Origen trying to do what they can. They're 4 members strong, but the Cannon Barrage comes out. And here comes the chase. Sjokz on his way. Origen trying to retreat. Kobbe puts out the long-range Void Seeker once again. It hits onto Patrik, but now they turn their eyes onto the Baron. Someone has to deal with those super minions that are in the base. Origen, you got to defend, you got to fight, you got to do something, because right now, Splyce are just choking you out of this game. Suffocated and almost done for. Origen lose the Baron, Splyce take it, and they will be looking for the win.
And Splyce are just doing what they should have done last game. They're just sitting there and farming. They're farming and scaling, and now they've got to a point where Origen can't match them. I felt like that Origen had the tools in order to force fights, force skirmishes, force picks, but it's Splyce who are now in control. They found Zanzarah. He's going to lose his life.
Unfortunate for Zanzarah there, backing next to a ward. He thought he was safe, he was on a control. The chase still coming in here by Splyce. If Zanzarah can delay for a while, it does something, I guess, and he manages to. Kobbe's still on the chase. Zanzarah is going to step into the minions, and they will start helping out. One more minion auto attack should be enough. Kobbe on a rampage. Top lane tower has already fallen. I thought it just fell, but it has gone. But he has delayed for a little while. Kobbe has no TP, so he's going to have to take the long way around to join his team. Looks like Humanoid's going to back and then teleport back in with that package. It's a special delivery coming to Origen's base pretty shortly.
Can't help but be a little disappointed in
I think you can. I think that's allowed.
Medic. I feel like that they had a great start to the game, and I wanted to see more from them. And like props to Splyce, you know, their win condition was just sit back and chill. And they've done a great job of it, and now they've controlled the map, and now they're finding more picks. The flank comes in from Alphari.
Alphari has the flank. We wanted to see this 20 minutes ago, but maybe it will be enough now. Xerxe low, almost taken out. Alphari goes golden. Nukeduck trying to do what he can. And still Splyce have not broken through those last 2 inhibitor towers. Imagine if that had been 10 minutes earlier. Origen could have won a team fight off that, but for now, they are unable even to kill Vizicsacsi.
The Starax gets burned and keeps Vizicsacsi alive, who is now level 18. He has the TP up, but the Baron's going to be wearing off in about a minute and a half, and Splyce actually haven't taken much more off the back of this. Are we going to another pure late game, Medic?
Possible.
The Ocean Dragon still hasn't even been taken yet. There's no Elder Drake on the map.
It's possible. It's possible, Vedius. I think I'd like to see Splyce just go and grab one of the dragons, although they do still have the Baron buff for a minute and a half, so maybe they're just looking for a 5-man push. Now they know Alphari doesn't have flash.
Yep, and no ulti.
And Mithy doesn't have flash either. They can just look for a little bit more of an aggressive push than perhaps you usually would into those key ultimates. And here we go, Splyce, 5 members strong. Origen on their last legs, last defense, wounded, but still walking for the moment. Nukeduck trying to look for that flank position, but Splyce are opening up on towards the inhibitor tower. It's down to half. Nukeduck going in with the edge of night, but can't find the connection. Here we go, damage onto Humanoid, tower already fallen. Splyce still unable to quite crack through that inhibitor line. They took the tower, but they cannot break it. And now the super minions will not be spawning as of yet. 30 seconds left on the Baron buff, and Splyce look to just reset and go, you'd expect, towards that Ocean Dragon.
Well, for now, they're staying in the mid lane. Still 30 seconds left on the Baron buff.
Oh, Nukeduck. Boom.
They know he's there.
They know he's there. The story of this game, it seems, Nukeduck unwilling to make aggressive plays. Splyce willing to wait it out.
I mean, the bright side for Origen is that they still have a base.
They didn't lose a single inhibitor.
Nope. And the Baron has now worn off. We have seen 2 Barons drop, I believe, this game. Elder not going to be spawning yet because the Ocean has not been taken. Could have been a potential win condition for Origen to come back with that one up. So maybe Splyce still just waiting for the next Baron to spawn. But they're at capped items now. Origen are a little bit behind, but they're getting close. Oh, Kobbe.
That was an aggressive killer instinct.
And Nukeduck just going to shadow out of there.
He had the Edge of Night on as well, so a lot of the damage not going through. Redemption used. They were trying to keep Nukeduck around, but they're not going to be able to do it.
So ping's coming down on Ocean now. Looks like Splyce have finally decided to take this one. Looks like we're in for another long one, Medic. I mean, again, we have to reinforce that a shot at World is on the line. Could be the end of your regular season. Splyce, there's no need to take things too quickly. You know you're at scale. You know you're eventually going to win if you just keep playing the way that you have been.
This game reminds me a lot of the Treants in Lord of the Rings.
Treants?
Yes. Because it's all, don't be hasty, Master Baggins. We've only just finished introducing ourselves. But it's 30 minutes in. It's fine, Mr. Vedius.
Slow and steady wins the race.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Here we are. They're taking the fights to Baron once again. 1 minute before it spawns. No inhibitors down yet on the side of Origen. Of course, they lost their bot lane earlier, but that has long since respawned, and Splyce are just going to set up the vision as well as they can. Now, Mithy What can you do, my dear man? Last time you went to Worlds, it was with G2. Wasn't the best performances, but we all hark back to his Origen days when they made it all the way to the semi-finals, only losing to SKT. It's been a while since he's been seen, or seen impressively, at least on the world stage. Now he is in waiting, lying ready
Oh, I don't
for
think.
Splyce.
Oh no, he did get spotted there.
He did get spotted.
Mithy, they know. They know, Mr. Mithy.
What's he doing? What's he doing? There's a ward there.
What's the word for it? Espionage?
Espionage? Reconnaissance?
Reconnaissance? Sneaky, sneaky.
Yeah, that's the best one. Now, Alphari's still in mid.
Yeah, he's catching the waves.
Catching the waves. Baron is up. Origen now put a ward in the bit, but that's controlled. Chachi has a flank position here. Humanoid going in. Mithy down to half HP. The cannon barrage comes out. And Nukeduck's on the front line. Nukeduck almost assassinated upon the death mark. Nukeduck almost falls, but he doesn't quite go down. Redemption used now, and the teleport coming in by Alphari. Nukeduck has to go back to base. He doesn't have TV. He can't rejoin the fight.
Yeah.
Splyce looking for the path down mid.
I mean, that Zed is completely useless now. He doesn't have ult, he doesn't have flash, he doesn't have ignite. He's got nothing. And now the Baron is being started off by Splyce.
Okay, Alphari has flash slicing Maelstrom. Mithy has the quickness. The Baron's doing quite a lot of work to Splyce here. Chachi's down, but he heals back up. Zanzarah looking for the flank position, looking for the steal.
Baron's still aggroed.
Baron is still aggroed, as you say, Vedius. And Splyce will not fight for it yet.
41 minutes in. Baron still alive. 16,200 HP. Splyce choose to reset. The game continues. GAs are up and available.
So you know a few minutes ago when you said Elder Dragon's not really going to be a winning condition in this game? I think it might be, Vedius.
Looks like it might be, Medic. Package is available on Humanoid. How many objectives must die for this game to end, Medic? I can hear the tears of Quickshot in the distance as all of his fellow...
That's a lot of damage.
All right, that should be the go signal. It's time to Baron. Let's go. That's a lot of health bars that are now chunked out. Splyce, start that Baron. Let's go. Here we go.
Vedius has made the call.
They're starting.
They've started it.
This is
now,
it.
does the Zanzarah stay around and look for the
Humanoid,
steal?
nice. I like this as well.
Yeah.
Generating pressure bomb.
Here we go. Alphari has the flash, slicing Maelstrom. Zanzarah in there. Doesn't get in there in time. Too late, as you say, and Humanoid's just going to keep chipping away at that bot lane inhibitor. It's fallen. Now Splyce looking for the mid lane, looking to push that in. They finally hit the go signal. And it's all guns blazing for Splyce. Inhibitor down in the bottom lane. 42 minutes in. They are going now for that inhib in mid. Cannon minion there with them. Another wave arriving soon. Of course, that has a cannon with it as well. And the chip damage coming out from the Corki with a rapid fire cannon will just take that tower lower and lower. Xerxe's forcing Alphari out. Xerxe flashing forward. Xerxe almost falls, and he manages to get the kill in the end. It's Kobbe actually who takes out Alphari. Look at Nukeduck. He's almost dead. He pulls the death mark, but this is just too little too late. Origen go in and go down in a heartbeat. Splyce will take the win. They'll win the series 3-2. They will be facing Sjokz tomorrow. Their world's hopes are still alive. Origen done and dusted, buried underneath the millions of Barons we've had this series. Splyce take it. Splyce will fight Sjokz, and Splyce's worlds are still alive.
Slow and steady did indeed win the race. Splyce find themselves the final ace in the base of Origen, and they walk away with the victory. They will be going up against Sjokz tomorrow. If they win that, they will lock up spot at the World Championship. Commiserations to Origen. It was a long, hard-fought game.
It was. Definitely was.
Well,
I think
there was a lot of watching.
We watched a lot today, Vedius. Not all
again,
of it the best League of Legends.
we talked a lot about how like the pressure was high, neither team wanted to make a mistake, but I feel like for Origen, they were too safe. They were too reserved. When the Zed had 2 kills, we should have been seeing the Zed ever on the map. We should have been seeing more kills, more activity.
I agree.
We didn't get it. Splyce, they got to the fabled Splyce late game. High fives for Xerxe. Congratulations once again to Splyce.
Good job. I think,
I mean, their strategy was tried and true,
Yeah,
you know?
they did what they always do, right? And that's how they won regularly in the regular season. That's how they won here. I do want to come back to the Origen point. Yes, we saw a lot of mistakes, and yes, there are players on that team that I think we expect more from. I want to give a bit of credit to Zanzarah, considering it's his best ever series, first ever series. He did a relatively good job. Like, it wasn't impeccable. He didn't blow us away.
It's so disappointing. But Zanzarah has also been in so many 5-game best of 5s as well, and every time they falter in the guy plays so well, and he's showcased so much talent. It is unfortunate that he will be unable to win a best of 5. Still, a bright future for him on the side of Origen. Mithy showcased a lot of great stuff. But unfortunately, Origen will not be going to Worlds. Splyce still have a shot. As we mentioned, they will be going up against Sjokz tomorrow. Best of 5, they've got to revamp, they've got to reset, they've got to get ready.
And that's a big reset you have to do. After 5 games, all of them between 35 and 45 minutes, that's a lot of game time today, and you have to come back in probably 16 hours time and do it all again.
And one of the things that Splyce is going to struggle with tomorrow is Sjokz is active in the early game. They're not super... they're not the team that will snowball a lead against you, but
Trick will do some stuff.
Trick will gank a lot.
Ignar moves around, like, Abadage moves around.
When they played against Rogue, he was locking in Xin Zhao regularly, like he was going for regular ganks, and sure, they couldn't keep up with the pace of Fnatic, but it feels like that very few teams can keep up with the pace of Fnatic. But if you play this slow and you're not as active, Sjokz is a team that will take advantage of that.
Definitely is.
So we get to have a final look at this, the final fight. If Alphari had found that pick, it could have been game-changing, but he can't shut down Xerxe. That does allow Splyce to find that initial pick. Nukeduck then gets chunked out as Humanoid looks to run down and chase the final kills out. And this is the final team fight for Splyce, which was ultimately very well played. Splyce will be moving on once again to tomorrow, and very soon we'll be setting up an interview with Kobbe, who should, after a very long series, be feeling quite tired after that one. But it is just me, Vedius, on the desk. And it's been a long series. It was quite slow League of Legends. It was exciting, but now we're going to hear from Kobbe and Medic on stage.
Thank you very much, Vedius. I am joined by Kobbe. Congratulations, of course, on the 3-2 win. You had a bit of time to prep for this series. Did it go the way you expected it to? Do you think your practice paid off?
I think our practice has been pretty good after we kind of had a big fail against Rogue. We hit a really low point, and I think we improved a lot since then. So, I mean, we were not really sure what Origen we're expecting to see, especially with another jungler, but he actually played pretty well, I think. But yeah, I expected us to win today, maybe more convincingly than like I thought it would be like 4 games. But yeah.
Okay, so why do you think, like, on the day it wasn't as convincing as perhaps it could have been? Because we have seen Splyce like close out from early leads in the past. We've seen you be a lot more dominant in your wins than you were today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like 3 weeks without playing on stage. So maybe because of that, first game I played really bad. Like maybe I just needed to warm up. And then yeah, last game as well, it felt like, I mean, the game was really slow. I guess it's game 5 and people are just being more careful. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think some games we played pretty well and we could have closed faster. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were actually talking a lot on the castle desk about that game 5 apprehensiveness, like being scared to make plays because what if you mess up? How much of that actually impacts you as a player in one of those games?
I mean, today, not at all, I think. In the last game, I just... I mean, it didn't start so well, game 5, but we knew we were scaling well, so we're just like, okay, let's farm up. And they didn't really do anything throughout the whole game, so we thought, okay, that's fine. And then I got a bit bored in the end because we were like full build, and okay, I just want to... At first I was just poking with ADC Kai'Sa W, but then I was like, okay, maybe I should jump in and actually do something. And it paid off, so yeah.
Oh, good stuff in the end. I want to talk about your opponents tomorrow. You're playing up against Sjokz. Have you guys prepped specifically for them at all, or is it much more you were prepping for Origen and now you'll just see how things go against Sjokz?
I mean, not really. Like, we didn't prepare for one opponent because I don't think that makes sense, really. We just tried to focus on ourselves and improve, and we need to beat both teams, so it doesn't really work if we only prepare for one. But sure, there's some certain things that we have prepared for like different teams, or we know they have different styles. So in that way, yeah. But I think we just focus on ourselves and we look to I think tomorrow might be a bit harder, but I'm not sure. But we will just look to bring our best play, and I think we can win.
Okay, and you said that you were expecting to win today. Can I ask, are you expecting to win tomorrow as well?
Yeah, of course.
3-1 again?
I mean, I always expect to win. I think the difference is that I'm not really afraid of losing anymore, since I failed in Gauntlet and in playoffs so many times now that it feels different now that I'm not really scared of losing anymore, and we just bring our best play. If it's not enough, then sucks. We go home, and we need to do better. But yeah, I expect to win, and I'm disappointed if we don't win, always.
All right, last question, just quickly. It's been 3 years since you last made it to Worlds. How much would it mean to you to make it to Worlds this year?
It would obviously mean a lot, especially because I think EU is really strong this year. Maybe we're not on the level as Fnatic G2, but yeah, it's kind of sad to watch from the sidelines every LEC final and Worlds. And I know the offseason gets really long and boring just by watching Worlds, so I really want to go back there. And also because I think I'm a much better player than I was when I went at first. And it would be nice to see, like, I know kind of where I am in EU, but it's been like 3 years since I played against other regions, so I want to see if I can compete better with them, you know.
Thank you very much, Kobbe. Good luck in the series tomorrow. We're going to hand it back across towards PGL. Guys, take it away.
Oh, we're fine.
Welcome everyone to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm Sjokz, joined by Ender, YamatoCannon, and Gilius. Now, also, you have to still vote for your player of the series, your Kia player of the series at LOL Esports. Your choices are Vizicsacsi, Humanoid, and Kobbe. And Kobbe is who we heard from just now. Yamato, you know this player very well.